Ethan Cole had built his empire on discipline and distance. He trusted numbers more than people, contracts more than promises. That was why he barely noticed the cleaners who arrived after midnight to scrub the marble floors of his corporate tower, except for one. Her name badge read Lena. She was heavily pregnant, yet she never complained. Every night, she worked slower than the others but with quiet care, often resting one hand on her belly as if reassuring the baby inside. Something about her presence unsettled Ethan. Not pity, curiosity. One evening, Ethan overheard two managers whispering about firing her. "She's a liability," one said. "Too slow, too pregnant." Ethan surprised himself by interrupting. "Give her another month," he said coldly. "That's not a request." That night, as he left the building, he saw Lena exit through the side door instead of the main gate. On impulse he hadn't felt in years, Ethan followed her, keeping his distance, unsure why his feet refused to stop. She walked for nearly 30 minutes, past bright shops and busy streets, into a forgotten industrial district. Finally, she stopped at an abandoned warehouse. Ethan frowned. No one lived here. Then he heard voices. Children's voices. Lena knocked softly, and the heavy door creaked open. Inside, Ethan saw something that made his breath catch. Nearly a dozen children, some no older than 5, ran to her, hugging her waist, her legs, her belly. She smiled for the first time Ethan had ever seen, a smile so full of warmth it hurt to look at. A thin elderly woman approached. "You're late, my child." "I'm sorry, Nana," Lena said. "I worked overtime." Ethan stepped inside without thinking. The room fell silent. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said quickly. "I just followed you." Lena stiffened, fear flashing across her face. "Please," she said quietly. "Don't report us." The shelter was shut down. We had nowhere else to go. Ethan looked around. Thin mattresses on the floor. A single stove. Schoolbooks stacked neatly despite their age. "Who are these children?" he asked. Lena swallowed. "They're orphans. Refugees. Some were abandoned. I used to teach at a free school until it closed. I couldn't leave them." "And the baby?" Ethan asked gently. Lena placed a hand on her belly. "Mine." Ethan felt something crack inside his chest. "Where's the father?" he asked. She met his eyes for the first time. "He died in a factory accident," she said. "The same factory your company bought and shut down last year." The words hit Ethan like a blow. Silence stretched between them. The next morning, the board of directors was stunned. Ethan announced the reopening of the old factory, this time as a community center, school, and shelter, fully funded by his company. He personally ensured medical care for Lena and legal protection for the children. Lena returned to work, but not as a cleaner. She became the head of the new learning center. Months later, Ethan stood at the opening ceremony, holding a tiny baby girl Lena had named Hope. For the first time in his life, Ethan understood something no balance sheet had ever shown him. Sometimes the greatest investments aren't made with money, but with humanity.